Test, test, test. Bring that down to your. Test.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight is the regular meeting of the Roswell Planning and Zoning Commission, Tuesday, July 28th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Chair Story.
Here.
Commissioner McDaniel is absent. Commissioner Aguilar.
Here.
Commissioner Lassard.
Here.
Commissioner McCornack is absent. Commissioner Henderson.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Could we have a swearing in, please? Mr. Henderson?
I guess this is for all of the staff and anyone going to speak this evening.
Everyone in the audience, please stand up, please.
Please use your microphone, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Is it on?
Hold on. No,
There it is. It's on now.
Good. So if you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty or perjury?
I do.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, Commissioner, whatever we happen to be these days, I guess. Next on the agenda is the approval of the June 23rd, 2020 regular meeting minutes. If anybody's has any comments or anything they'd like to bring up on the minutes, if not, we'll accept the motion.
I make the motion to approve the agenda or the minutes as presented for the Planning and Zoning meeting.
Second.
We got a motion and a second.
Excuse me. It should be the agenda first.
The agenda. It was the agenda. Okay.
Okay.
A motion to approve the agenda for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, July 28th,
Oh.
2020 regular meeting.
My fault. It's, my sheet's out of order. Not really, just me is out of order. Okay, so we had a motion by Jana and a second by Steve to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, now we will move over to approval of the minutes from the June 23rd Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes. If anybody has any comments on the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the Planning and Zoning meeting for Tuesday, July 28th, 2020, as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Saul and a second by Jana to approve the minutes from the June 23rd, 2020 meeting. If anybody has any questions, if not, everybody signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes pass.
Mr. Chairman, make sure that yourself and all the commissioners are using the microphone, light screen.
I think we're good. We're just all very quiet, very soft-spoken and quiet. We'll move to the public hearing items. First off, we will hear case number 20-2012. Can I have a motion to waive the reading of the findings and facts?
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the finding of the facts and land use and zoning considerations in respect to case 20-012.
Second.
We have a motion by Saul and a second by Steve to waive the reading of the finding of facts and all the other, excuse me, in there. Everybody in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed? Passes, so we will move into the actual public hearing item, which is case number 20-012, a request for a special use permit in the R3 residential zoning district for a one-chair hair salon in-home. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? If you could please state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Connie Haskew, and I bought the building at 205 West 7th. I have been in this business for 35 years, and 20 of those here in Roswell, from Tampa, Florida, and it's my home. And during the quarantine, I paid 3 months' rent, expensive rent, and was not able to work. So I just realized I needed to purchase a place and pay myself. So I'm hoping that I can do that. I have very nice, upstanding clients. I have parking in front. I have my own parking in the back of the building. And I would be a really good neighbor. And I run a quiet business. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody have any questions of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case number 20-012? Anybody in the audience anybody on the go-to live part? Can you tell that? You can't tell it, or you don't know? I just wonder if you can tell if there's anybody there. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience or online wishing to speak against case number 20-012? Anybody against 20-012? Being none, could we have staff comments, please, from Meredith?
Chair Story, Commissioners, this case is a special use permit request for a one-chair hair salon in the R3 zoning district, which is allowed with a special use permit. It does have parking in the front that's been there a long time. It's paved. It's in the right-of-way, but behind the sidewalk. There's parking in the rear for the household. I verified that. There's several businesses in the area in the R3 district that have several homes or residential dwellings in the R3 district that do have businesses. This is compatible use, and staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, Meredith. Louis, you got anything to add?
Mr. Chairman, Commission, I support planning and zoning. From the engineering perspective, it does have off-street but on right-of-way parking that was previously established. That would be perfect for the one customer at a time. Also, parcel number 9 has been an appraisal office, and so professional offices as well. That was Bud's office, Bud Kunkel.
Louis, where's parcel 9? Where are you referring to?
Page
United Corporation. United Continental, parcel 9,
Oh, I got you.
page 14. That's the property immediately to the west that has, and I still believe, a professional office. And last time I was in there, it had the owner and 2 employees. So I think I support planning and zoning, that the applicant's request does fit the zoning and the area.
Thank you. Have we heard anything from Ms. Gutierrez, Anna Gutierrez, that's in parcel 6 to the east, or to the east?
No, Chair Story, we have not heard anything.
Okay, thank you. Does any of the commission have any questions of staff or any further questions of the applicant?
No.
Being none, I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve case number 20-012, along with the land use and zoning conditions, finding of facts, staff recommendation, testimony that we've received.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Steve to approve and a second by Jana. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say aye. Motion carries. You are free to have your one-person business. you want to go to a two-person business, let me know. My daughter's a cosmetologist over in Fort Worth. I'll bring her home. Next item on the agenda is case number 20-013, a request for a variance to extend an existing garage an additional 4 foot into the front yard setback in the R1 residential district. Address of 1503 South Lee Avenue. If I could have a motion to waive the reading of the findings of facts and the land use and zoning considerations.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the finding of the facts and land use and zoning considerations with respect to case 20-013.
Second.
Motion by Saul, second by Steve, to waive the reading of the finding of facts and the land use and zoning considerations. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in case of favor? Never mind. Would anybody like to speak in favor of case number 20-013? Sir, if you could state your name and address and
I'm Greg Getter, 1503 South Lee. The reason I like to extend the garage is because I bought a new truck and it's too long for the garage. And right now I'm hanging over part of the sidewalk, so I took off my trailer hitch because it goes out even further. And if I leave to put it in the garage, to leave the, I have to leave the garage doors open. And my wife is not very well, and it just leaves my house where it's open where anybody can get into my garage or into the house. That's the reason I'd like to extend it out 4 feet where I can put my truck in there to protect it and protect my, my house and my belongings inside.
thank you, Greg. Any questions of the applicant? Any questions?
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg. We may call you back up.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else to speak in favor of case number 20-013? Being none, is there anyone to speak against case number 20-013? Don't see anybody out there, so I'm assuming that's a no. Could we have staff comments, please, from Miguel?
Thank you, Chair. We've discussed this property with Mr. Etter for the past year or so, trying to explore options. He has submitted a building permit to redo his roof, and he wanted to redo the garage at the same time. When I went out and did the measurements, I quoted to him what the code actually stated as far as setbacks. He's in an R1. Current setbacks are 25 feet from the front property line. His existing garage currently sits at 19 feet approximately by what I personally measured, and I took a building official with me to take a second look to make sure there was nothing else I was overlooking. His garage was built back in, I believe it was 2014. I have a picture of the original site plan here that was signed off by staff at the time. It was to meet the precedent set by the neighboring carport directly to the north. Based on the current code, the way it is written, staff could not support the variance request. That was the professional response. My personal opinion, I had a hard time separating that because I understood the request, and I also took into consideration, I took some pictures of the truck there on page 21 of your packet if you take a look. The truck without the hitch does indeed overhang the sidewalk, and you can see where the truck is pulled up is about as close as it can get to the garage at that time. And it was rather difficult to be objective, and I explained that to Mr. Etter. But based on the code, it was difficult for staff to support the variance request based on the setback requirements.
Thank you, Miguel. Louis, you got anything to add?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'm in support of denial. I appreciate Mr. Etter's concerns. For the benefit of our Mr. Henderson and Mr. Lopez, our newer commissioners, just to remind commissioners that on any case, you're not supposed to take any calls or anything from the applicants. You're also not to review the site. As part of it, we as staff present everything. And just to refresh your memory, commissioners, the setbacks are there for a reason. The setbacks are there so everybody can have the same setback. And this is a request that we get frequently. We get this request frequently, and 99.9% of the time, we're able to handle it at the Planning and Zoning Office as a denial, because that's just the rules. Of course, if somebody doesn't want to follow the rules, they do have the right to come and pay the money for a zoning hearing, which we are having here now, a variance hearing. In 2014, he was granted a request. I'm going to pass out some pictures from 2013, so you can see the prior conditions.
While you're doing that, can I ask a question of somebody? Because I'm a little confused here of what is the setback? I'm a little confused here, like on the 19 feet versus the 25 feet and the existing 15 feet.
Okay, what it is under R1 is 25. This is an older neighborhood, so it's actually a 20-foot setback. And now they want to reduce it to less than that. As you can see in most neighborhoods, and if you can picture most neighborhoods, you'll build your garage, you'll build your carport, and you put your primary vehicles inside the garage or carport. Your secondary, your visitors or the kids or secondary vehicles usually fit between the setback and the sidewalk, so you're not overhanging into the sidewalk. My observation, professional opinion, is when we start letting stuff like this, we're going to set a precedence for the neighbors. And pretty soon you have everybody headed towards the sidewalk, and not to be mean, but it starts looking like the base. And what people don't realize and understand Miguel's personal feelings, as staff, we have to sometimes take away our personal feelings. We've got to look at the quality of life for everybody in the neighborhood. So in the neighborhood, we have to keep those setbacks, because that's what we're trying to do, is keep the quality of life, keep everybody the same. As you can see in the pictures in 2013, he had the carport. He did request for a variance to build his garage at that time. It was granted, and for whatever reason, and again, here he is, variance number 2. And we've all heard this. Well, all of us that have been around planning and zoning, one of the things that we get from the citizens, well, it's my property. Absolutely, it's your property, but we do have these setbacks and these planning and zoning regulations, ordinances in Roswell. I'm very proud that Roswell has probably some stricter ones than some of the other communities in the southeast or in the state, but that's to keep our quality of life up. So I understand, his truck is sticking out. And I understand he wants to put it in the garage, but that's just the way it is with the setbacks. And again, I support the recommendation as presented in the case to deny this case.
Thank you, Louis. So, Mr. Etter, could you come back up, please? So are you looking at, you got a 2-car garage here, are you planning on wanting to extend the whole garage, so both doors are
Yeah, so both
even?
doors will be even, yes, sir.
Okay. And so what would, and then not so much for Mr. Etter there, what would the encroachment into the setback be if we allowed this variance? It's a 4-foot variance, right?
Right now, the existing garage sits at 19 feet from the front property line. The request is for an extra 4 feet, so it would be 15 feet from the front property line.
Louis, what's the right-of-way on that portion of Lee? Is it?
That's where it narrows down, and the back of the sidewalk is the right-of-way.
Mr. Etter?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm looking at this 2013
Right.
picture that city engineer has given us, and it appears to me that you've looked at that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it looks like there's 2 vehicles in that structure right
Right.
now. Does that structure still look the same?
No,
Okay,
it has 2 garage doors and it's all,
okay,
and it has, it's all stucco on the sides and everything.
I see, okay. So when you requested a variance when you did that structure then, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you just didn't anticipate the?
I didn't anticipate
Yes.
getting a bigger truck and
Yeah.
now it doesn't fit.
You bet, I understand.
I've got a smaller 1994 Toyota pickup I'll trade you straight across.
Nah. No,
Quite
that's
a
not gonna
long,
work.
probably.
The wife will shoot me over that one.
Are there any other questions of Mr. Etter or of staff? Thank you, Mr. Etter.
Thank you.
So, being none, I guess we'd take the motion. The motion would be Meredith, what would you like the motion to be? To approve it or to approve the denial? I mean, I think it could go either way. I think,
Yeah, you want to concur with staff recommendation and approve the denial.
so if you, a vote of yes would approve the denial, a vote of no would allow the structure to be built, would approve the variance. Is that correct?
Yes, and then we would have to discuss the variance.
What do you mean by discuss the variance?
Or to double check what the dimensions would be.
If it was approved, you mean?
We should do a roll call vote, too.
Okay, well, we need a motion first.
So usually the motion is in the affirmative and then the roll call vote, so.
Okay, you confused me. Roll call, the motion is in the affirmative to approve the denial or approve the variance?
Well, staff recommendation is to deny it. His
Right.
request is a variance, so you're going to deny the request.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion to approve the variance. A vote of yes approves the variance, a vote of no denies the variance.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, everybody okay with that? So if you're for the carport extension, you vote yes. If you're not for it, you vote no.
Yep.
Okay? Like a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion based on the finding of the facts, the land use and zoning considerations, testimony, and material presented during the meeting, and staff recommendations to deny case number 20-013.
That's just what we went against, right? That's what we just said, that the motion would be to approve it, correct?
Well,
No.
yeah, on his motion, it would be to approve the motion because he's requesting to deny it.
To deny the request.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's what I understood.
Okay, yeah.
I understood his motion.
Okay,
was
Mr.
to
Aguilar's
deny.
motion is to deny the variance.
Correct.
So an affirmative vote would vote with Mr. Aguilar to deny the variance.
Okay. We'll go
And
with
they
that
would
second.
be-
Do we have a second to that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. The motion on the floor from Solomon, the second by Jana, is to deny the approval or deny the request for the variance and approve the denial. So
An affirmative will deny the variance.
okay, all those, let's do this a little simpler. All those in favor of,
She wanted a voice,
yeah,
didn't she want her name?
wanted a
Yeah,
roll
she
call?
said a
Oh,
roll
yeah.
call.
but I just was
Roll
trying
call.
to square it away here, because I'm still confused. So a vote,
An affirmative vote votes with staff denying the variance. A negative vote votes against staff and allowing the variance.
okay. Have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Aguilar,
Affirmative, correct? To deny the variance. Okay.
yes, okay. Commissioner Lassard,
Affirmative.
that's a yes to deny. Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
that's a yes to deny. Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
yes to deny. And Chair Story,
I'm going to vote no.
the ayes have it to deny the motion. The motion carries.
So, Mr. Eder, you have been denied your request for a variance. You have the right to appeal to the city council. Meredith or Miguel, if you could tell them the procedure and the deadlines, please.
Mr. Etter, you have until Thursday at noon to submit your request for an appeal with the city clerk. Just want to tell Brenda, I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, you'll have to turn in your appeal to city clerk, if that's what you wish, by Thursday at noon. And your appeal will have all your recommendations and facts that you would on your case, on the merits of your case.
I got a question, sir.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so my yes, was that for denial of his request,
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So I was kind of confused on that one. Can I change my answer or not?
Are you voting to support the variance?
I'm voting to support his request to extend the 4 foot or whatever that was.
I think that would be up to the chairman at this point.
I don't,
With all that
Is,
goes, so that's why I'm kind of.
yeah, well, that's why I was
You
confused
know,
too, and trying to get it squared away, and so we know, but, so Commissioner Lopez would like to change his vote from, to approve the variance, so that changes it. I don't have a problem with that due to the confusion. It doesn't change the outcome of the decision. It goes from a 4-1 to a 3-2. But Greg, I would certainly recommend, if you want to pursue it, that you would file your protest to the city council. I've seen, we've got a counselor over here can confirm that the city council has overturned many of the decision by the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you have any questions, Miguel, Meredith, Lewis, any of these guys, you know them well, they can all help you with your appeal if you need be. Thank you.
Just so I'm clear now, we were at a 3-2 for denial of the variance request, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any, my sheet on here says non-action items, but on my sheet over here it says other business. I'm gonna have to talk to whoever put this sheet together. So
Are
I'm
you
gonna-
looking at the amended agenda? Remember, we had an amended agenda?
Yeah, I'm looking at this sheet that somebody passes out to help us navigate this process, and it has non-action items, but I'm gonna go to H. Is there any other business from staff or any of the commissioners? None? Do we have any public comments?
Just one for the new commissioners. like I said, this last case, there was some personal thoughts there that I saw that made it difficult for me as staff to stay focused on the code, and ultimately that is our goal here. You will have some cases that come in that are very difficult. Set your personal feelings aside. Mr. Hitnerson can attest to that. It's anytime you're in question, your colleagues are there, consult with them. Definitely do your research. It's better to ask questions than to come into the situation confused and have a clouded judgment. It does get tough at times. We've had some that were very emotional at times. But-
Lewis told us a while ago, we're not supposed to go look at the site or talk amongst ourselves.
That's correct. This is a quasi judicial body, and so there's not to be discussion among yourselves or with the public prior to
Before
the meeting.
Let me be clear that I don't mean to speak upon the case, but if there's any part of the code that you're not clear about, exactly like I said, speaking about the case amongst each other or others is not allowed.
Yeah.
But
My
any-
only concern with, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, just the truck sticking out. There's a lot of kids in that neighborhood, and with that truck sticking out at nighttime, not all the kids play during the daytime. That's the only reason why, for me, safety, I'm an insurance guy, liability with this truck sticking out on the sidewalk, especially at night.
Right.
That's,
And my kids are the same, so those are things I think about. But again, those are the times where it can be tough, but that is the purpose for our code, is to keep a sense of direction and order, so to speak.
yeah.
I mean, we're here to help any way we can. But other than that, I mean, you guys have done great. I know you'll do fine. I just wanted to make that clear for you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It does help.
And then let me address a solution that hasn't been discussed, and that we've seen it over here in the past. Yes, the truck's sticking out. There's nothing to say that he couldn't widen the driveway and widen his parking area to the south and take it closer to the house. Well, I get that. We get those curb cuts all the time. You're allowed up to a 40-foot driveway in width. So he's only using probably about 24, 25, so he could actually widen his driveway, do a curb cut, widen it, and he could just pull the car in, basically pull the truck into the side. I mean, you can see the neighbors in that 2013. If you look around town, how many people are parking everywhere? I mean, because it's United States, we're fortunate that everybody, once they're 15 years old, they got their own vehicle. Mom and dad, grandpa and grandma go buy the vehicle. So when you start as a small family, it's just mom and dad that have the vehicle. Pretty soon all the kids have a vehicle, and they're parking everywhere. That's another reason why I always will go for the setbacks, because the setbacks are there to take in extra parking. I mean, if you go to my house, there'll be vehicles in the garage, and when the kids are there, come over and visit, they're parked behind the garage, between the sidewalk and the setback of the house. That's what the setback is for your additional parking. My professional opinion, once we start letting these setbacks go, we're losing control in the neighborhood, because now the neighbor to the south can say, well, this neighbor did it, so I want to match his front line. And it starts going down the road, and pretty soon you no longer have setbacks. The families keep on growing, the houses keep on selling, then you have more parking on the streets, you have more parking on the sidewalk, you have more parking in the yards, which leads to, my opinion, to lowering the quality of life. There's a big picture that we have to look at, not just, one family, one request. You have to look at the big picture, which I've tried to explain to planning and zoning, that as an engineer, I have to look at the big picture, not just what we're looking at this day, but what are we doing 5 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and that's what we have to look at, maintaining the quality of life, maintaining our ordinances. That's why City Council voted on all these ordinances over the years, so Roswell would have a quality of life. And I think most of you have dealt in real estate. And the setbacks, when you build a house and everything else, that's what that's for. You know, there's other options too. We get requests to build a garage in the back. There's other options, widen the driveway. It's just, all those options have not been discussed for whatever reasons or explored, if they have been explored, but there's always options.
Thank you, Louis. Any other public comments? Well, it wasn't really public comments. You guys are not public. You know. Reports, announcements. Meredith, you got anything?
No, sir.
Miguel, Louis, got anything coming up? We need
The
to
only,
know
the
about?
only thing I could say on the benefit of our new commissioners and even some of the commissioners that haven't, maybe Meredith, we can check with the Municipal League and maybe Mr. Henderson. They used to have training for the P&Z commissioners. I don't know now with COVID if they're gonna, when it would be, but we have sent commissioners in the past. And the city would pay for your per diem and your travel to go attend that kind of training. But again, just to reiterate, when we have these cases, you're not supposed to go out to the site and look at them. It's our job as staff to present you all the facts and findings that we can. And then some of these get political, like when, I'll use for example, when we had that change of the senior facility to a hotel on Kentucky Street. I mean, we packed this place. If you, those that were here, we packed this place, and it does get that way. Commissioners were getting called, counselors were getting calls on that. You're going to get calls. Remember, this is a quasi-judicial commission, and you guys are supposed to take that as a quasi-judicial. I mean, I take my job very seriously, and sometimes you have to separate yourself, and it's hard, but that's our job.
See, and I think personally that we ought to be able to go out and look at the site, look at the neighborhood. Not saying we would knock on Mr. Etter's door and converse with him or anything, or the neighbors, but I strongly think that if you don't go out and look at the site and get an idea for the neighborhood or whatever it is, then, you know, I think we should be able to do that. And in all honesty, unless you come up here and say, well, I went over there and looked, you could go over there and look and nobody would ever know the difference.
I agree that you should be able to go and check it out. I know in every case, I've always told the staff to make sure you take pictures from all perspectives. I drive the neighborhood. I go out there and take other pictures. I know, the other pictures. I mean, besides his truck on whatever page 19 there's another vehicle that parks outside the garage. So I know there's 2 vehicles that park outside the garage. They're just not the other one's not as long as the truck. It's my job to go look. I have to drive up and down the neighborhood and see all the setbacks and see if there's any violations or where they're getting this idea. But I've seen it when we let something slide. And I know Mr. Etter, and I respect his concern, and I get it. I get why he's asking for it. But then pretty soon the neighbors all start doing it, and then pretty soon it's the valley, when they go to appraise it and they look at it from insurance point of view, and the setbacks are not there and that kind of stuff, it devalues the property. It might raise the insurance rates. It's just, that's why we have the zoning and ordinances for the quality of life, to maintain the standards and quality that Roswell wants, insurance that we do, everything else that we do.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Anybody
Mr.
got
Chairman.
anything else to bring up? Nope. If not, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.